Hello, I'm Derek Young, and welcome to today's session, which is entitled Developing Your Leadership Philosophy. In my personal opinion, this is one of the most important sessions that we offer. And I say that because over my career, I have been fortunate to work with what I believe are some of the best leaders in the country in retail, healthcare, and a number of other industries. So you might say to yourself, well, Derek, why is there a session called Developing Your Leadership Philosophy? Well, I'm going to go back in time a little bit. In my background, I was at one time responsible for corporate training at Dollar General, which is a big discount retailer. Right now, probably 10 or $11 billion in sales. And at one point, we were on a significant growth curve. I mean, crazy growth. And what began to happen is we were hiring new managers, hiring new district managers, but also promoting people into the district manager position who were really good at the store manager level. But when they got to the district manager level, it often took them 9, 10, 11, or even 12 months to sort of hit their stride. What I realized is that more often than not, it wasn't that they lacked passion, it wasn't that they lacked skill, it wasn't that they lacked determination, but what we found was they didn't have a framework for leadership. They had never really taken the time to sit down and map out and sort of concretize what leadership meant to them. Another thing I found is that over the years is in working with high potential people at different types of organizations. More often than not, again, you have people who are hungry, you have people who are talented, you have people who have a lot of drive. But more often than not, the thing that would stall them is once again that inability to articulate what they believed about leadership, how they went about achieving goals. I'm reminded of an example of a good friend who was highly talented, was responsible for organizational development at a pretty large organization. She gained her PhD, and at that point, we thought Katie bought a door. She is going to blow up. We were really looking forward to her success. Well, what we found was she had 3 interviews with pretty significant companies, 2 Fortune 50 companies and 1 Fortune 100 company, but she didn't get the job. After we sat down and talked for a while, I suddenly figured out what was going on. She was interviewing for VP level jobs, but she was talking like a manager. In essence, she was very good at describing tactically what she could do. She was very good at being able to describe the effort she put into the work. But at that level, really, those employers were really looking for her to talk about her philosophy, the strategy she used, the approach she used to get other people to be great. And that literally is sort of the genesis of this session. So here's the question I want you to ask yourself. What is leadership? Now, look, I could give you a definition. You could probably find 1,000 definitions. But at the end of the day, I think you've got to identify what does that mean for you? Here's what it means for me. Leadership, at the end of the day, in my mind, is all about influencing other people to do something. Now, we all know that there are good leaders and there are bad leaders. We all know there are leaders with good intentions and there are leaders with bad intentions. Don't I wish leaders with bad intentions were not effective at leading people? Your Adolf Hitlers, your Osama bin Ladens. But sadly, leadership is a skill. It's something you can learn. It's something you can get better at. And I think history has proven that out. I think another question I really want you to consider taking some time to answer is, why do you even want to be a leader? What is it that's driving your desire to be a leader or even be an even greater leader? Again, I'm not here to tell you what that should be, but in my experience in coaching leaders at various levels, many people have never even stopped to answer the question deeply and profoundly. Why am I doing this? Why am I gaining this extra education? Why am I taking extra training? Why am I putting in the extra hours? I'm not here to give the answer, but I definitely want to recommend that you develop your own answer to that question. The other thing I want you to think about is this. How do you feel about the leadership example that's being set around you? More often than not, if you're like me, I have gained a lot of ideas, a lot of insights from the leaders I've been able to work for and work with and work around. So I want you to think about that. So I want you to take a minute before we go on to the next section, before we go any further, to really reflect on those 3 questions, put something on paper as we go on in talking about you developing your leadership philosophy.